Welcome back to the Studio Sessions podcast. We have a bit of a breaking news item to talk about. By the time this goes live on Wednesday, it'll have been a couple of days, but I do still want to talk about and mention the death of Rob Reiner. And then I want to get into a little bit of a lighter topic that I had planned already for this week that has to do with physical media. DVDs. Do we still need them? So that's what I kind of want to get into towards the end. But I do want to take a little bit of time first to talk about the death of Rob Reiner. Rob Reiner, from all the reports I'm seeing, was murdered at his home with his wife. And there are reports that he was found by one of his daughters, which is awful to think about. And his son is actually in custody of the police right now in connection with it, which is also just awful to think about. And I did want to just take a little bit of time and acknowledge that, process through some things with it, just because Rob Reiner was an incredible director. He was an actor as well, but I think most people remember him for the movies he directed. He directed movies like The Princess Bride and Misery and Stand By Me and A Few Good Men and The Wolf of Wall Street. So many amazing movies that we know and love. I thought it would be important to acknowledge it, to share the news. If you follow this podcast, you probably have already heard about it through other accounts that you follow, other either people that you follow or other podcasts you follow. But I did want to take just a little bit of my own time to talk about it. Rob Reiner had a massive impact on movies. So many of his movies were so iconic and influential and revered. And there's been so many actors that have come out making statements about his death and how much it's affected them, how amazing he was to work with, how inspiring he was. And I think in the midst of all of the tragedy, and there's so many facts to go over with what actually occurred, so much that they haven't even released, so much that we just don't know. But the facts that we do know are so tragic that before we get into some of that, I do just want to take some time to appreciate his work and his legacy and not let that be erased by the tragedy. Probably the movies of his that stand out the most to me are the ones I listed. Princess Bride, Misery is, of course, an incredible movie. The Wolf of Wall Street, When Harry Met Sally. He had such a good feel for genuine, heartfelt, heart-led stories and storytelling, but also seamless weaving in of comedy within that. I mean, just the incredible amounts of quotable lines from The Princess Bride. I can't even list them. We would be here forever. It's so iconic and just such a deep, influential part of our culture, one that everyone thinks of fondly. And I think another huge aspect of everything is the characters in his films are so detailed and nuanced and intriguing, and they are very catching. I mean, yes, there's probably the typical ones you might think of, like Stand By Me and the development, the childhood memories of it all. But there's also like how catching the characters are in Wolf of Wall Street. And you can't not, and the stories just kind of drag you in. And he was really good at that. And so I will always love that about Rob Reiner movies. And I think that's why I was so in shock and taken aback when I saw the news, because that is just not only tragic, but just a crazy thing to think of that happening. And Rob Reiner really being gone. And of course, his wife also. It's such a tragedy for the family. And so now I'll take a little bit of time to go over the facts that we know. From all of the reporting I've seen, apparently there was a disagreement, an argument with his son at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party on Sunday. I'm reading this off of the Los Angeles Times. I can link this article in the show notes. I believe it will be probably continuing to be updated as things happen. So, according to the LA Times, on Saturday night at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party, they got into a big argument. And apparently his son Nick was acting very strangely, according to some people that were at the party. Sunday afternoon, him and his wife were found dead in their home. According to certain sources, according to LA Times, one of their children were the ones to discover them, which is horrible. I cannot even imagine. And then, of course, today, it was released that Nick was being held by the police and being questioned, but no details on why he was arrested were released. So for now, there are no official charges filed, but he is in custody under suspicion of murder. So they're acknowledging they suspect he's a part of it. They have not formally charged him with anything. But he is being held in custody with a $4 million bail amount. Editing Brooke jumping in just to say this has actually been updated. More news came out. This isn't shocking at all because things were rapidly happening. So, of course, things changed, new events occurred. I just wanted to update this part to say he is no longer eligible for bail. So the $4 million bail actually got revoked. He is no longer eligible for bail at this moment. We'll see if that gets contested at all or what happens with that. But currently, he is not able to post bail. And they did officially file charges. So I am just going to read from NBC News, and I'll link this article as well as the other one. Nick Reiner appears in LA court after being charged with murder in the deaths of his parents. So he is charged, according to the article, with 2 counts of murder with special circumstance allegations of multiple murders. So the special circumstance is that it was double murder, that it was multiple murders, it was more than one, as well as using a deadly weapon, which is a knife, in connection with the death of his parents. If convicted, he faces a maximum sentence of life without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. Which is interesting because so many people have been talking about, oh, the death penalty is on the table. It's California. The death penalty has not been outlawed in California. That doesn't mean they will pursue the death penalty, but it's always on the table in cases where it could be on the table until they decide not to pursue it, because it's legal in California. They have not outlawed it. Now, there is the moratorium that Governor Gavin Newsom put in place. So while somebody can be sentenced to the death penalty and put on death row, no death penalties are currently being administered. Like, they are not actually completing death penalty punishments right now. So that's been talked about a lot, and I just kind of wanted to comment on that. Like, of course it's possible because it's in California, and California, it's legal in California still. So they can choose that option. The discussion is simply, yes, they know it's an option they could choose to pursue, but they made it very clear in the press conference that they have not determined and have not announced or are planning to announce right this second whether they are pursuing the death penalty or not. So that they have not released yet. But yes, it's a possibility they'll pursue it, but that is not determined yet. So them saying it's on the table does not mean they're leaning towards it. It just means they're acknowledging, yes, that this is a case where that would be an eligible pursuit we could take. But they have not said they're taking it yet. And them saying that doesn't mean they are. They're just acknowledging, yes, that's an option in this case. So that is, I believe, the most current information I have. He was being medically cleared, and he actually ended up, he has Alan Jackson as his lawyer, which, if you paid attention to the Karen Reed trial in Massachusetts at all, you'll know who Alan Jackson is. I did. I actually watched with Emily D. Baker, who is a former LA assistant district attorney. She streamed the whole trial, commentating on it, and I watched it. So I'm very familiar with Alan Jackson. If you paid attention to that trial, you probably would be too. So that's who Nick's attorney is. And while Nick was being medically cleared, he said he was not eligible to be in court the first day they had it scheduled for because of that, and are now still pushing back the arraignment until January. And that just happened. So there are some more details about how he was found and things like that that I'm not going to decide to go into right this second. As things come out, if I feel like there's more of a fuller story that's important to tell in the context of this podcast, I will share more. There's definitely research you can do. I would be careful of sources because you never know what may be shared that is either accurate or inaccurate. So just take that with a grain of salt and a kind of put your own filter on it. Yeah, those are the details I wanted to update for this episode, and kind of as much detail as I want to go into. I don't want to get gruesome. I don't want to, just talk about it just because there's catching, shocking, salacious details. I do feel it's important to talk about, but I'm not thinking that there's a value on this podcast and going into the salacious details. If I feel like there's more I want to share, I absolutely will. But like I said, the 2 articles I've cited will be linked in the show notes for your reading if you would like to. They are in the process of investigating. This is going to take time to investigate. Even if they are able to gather details, it will take time for us to actually have access to those details. Until they're complete enough to release information, law enforcement does not release information like that. For good reason. They don't want to interfere with the investigation. They don't want to mess up being able to properly investigate. So, while this is all we have right now, we will get further details as they become available, as they can release more details. It was just such a crazy turn of events to see all of the news headlines come out, because it started with 2 people found dead at Rob Reiner's home. Then it confirmed it was Rob Reiner and his wife found dead at their home. Then, their son's being questioned. Another son's being held in custody under suspicion of murder. So just to watch the headlines roll in all day, it was a lot. This is a horrible tragedy, and it is something that we will have to see how the rest of it all unfolds in the investigation and what more details even become available to truly know what happened. I think There's a lot that can be speculated, but that's not always the best idea. So that's what we know. I wanted to talk about all of this just to share any of the details I have, but also just give a moment to acknowledge it, because that is such a loss for the film community. And I just wanted to acknowledge that. Now, I wanted to take a little bit of time for my pre-planned topic and give a little bit of time to that, a much lighter topic that is about physical media and whether it's even worth keeping anymore. Do you need your DVDs? Are they worth anything now? Is there a point to having them? I want to talk about it. And I have some ideas and thoughts and some things to think about if you are trying to answer that question over if you keep or still continue collecting physical media or not. Because especially as the industry is shifting a ton with streaming, with so much becoming more just digital. I mean, Best Buy isn't even selling DVDs anymore. Which seems weird, but it's true. And I don't think many movies are even putting that much into creating physical media anymore. You know, the landscape is changing as such that physical media is likely going to be more difficult to find, more difficult to get. Before we get into all of those details, I do want to take just a second to let you know some ways you can support the show if you have been enjoying it. We are on our 12th episode of the studio sessions, and I have loved getting to talk about this topic so much. I'm such a movie fan in so many ways, and I've so enjoyed being able to have the studio sessions, to have these conversations. If you are looking to help support movies, if you are looking to help support storytelling, important storytelling, or if you are just really enjoying the studio sessions and want to support these episodes, I want to share a couple of ways you can go about doing that. There are some free ways, like giving it a like, sharing it with others, making sure you're subscribed wherever you listen. Honestly, the biggest free way you can is to just help raise awareness for the show. Share about it with anybody you think might be interested. Post a link to an episode. Send it to your friend that loves movies also. Whoever you think might enjoy this, however you can share it with others, is a free and very, very helpful way to support the show. And of course, the like and subscribe helps all the algorithms. If you would like to support the show in a different way, we do have our memberships on Butterfly Entertainment that goes towards helping these episodes be made. We do also have a Buy Me a Coffee for Butterfly Entertainment that helps go into getting these shows made. And there is, of course, always the rent or purchase of Like a Butterfly, my film that came out in January of this year, almost a year ago. That talks about not only my story with Turner syndrome, but also many other women that I've been blessed to get to talk to and get to know that also have Turner syndrome. So, all of that will be linked in the description box below if you feel so inclined. And leave a comment. Let me know what you've been enjoying in the episodes, what topics you might like to see. I would love to hear your ideas for future topics. Now, back to physical media. Okay, let's talk about the shift in physical media for a second, because I was actually just talking to some people the other day about this. DVDs, not only did they used to be a more common thing, but they used to be really special. They used to have so much effort put into them and so much work put into them, and all of these amazing behind the scenes features and extras and the audio commentaries, and it was really something cool and fun. And they would do these cool cases to collect, and it was really awesome. For movie fans, it was really awesome. And my favorite part of DVDs was the special features, to be honest. So I really enjoyed that. And yes, things are shifting more digital. With the streaming wars and all of that, things are shifting more digital. This is a whole other part of the conversation with Warner Brothers we could talk about, but right now, let's just look at the state of physical media right now. Best Buy isn't even selling them anymore. That's how much things have changed. Best Buy stopped selling physical media for movies. That is very telling, and it means they're not as available. They're harder to find. But I want to try to answer the question of, do you still need DVDs? Do you still need to buy a DVD of a movie you want? Is that still something you need to do? Or as long as you've got streaming, you're good. You're good. You don't need to worry about it. There's two aspects of that to think about. One is it something you enjoy collecting, and that's why you've been getting them? That's your motivation for it. Like, if it's a collector's thing, of course you're going to continue because that's collecting, right? Like, that's the fun of it, is finding those really cool ones to get. But for your average movie lover, there's still a reason to get a DVD of your favorite movie? Even for your casual viewer of movies, is there still a reason to get a DVD of your favorite movies or of your favorite TV shows? Because TV shows can have really epic collections DVD-wise also. I would answer that yes. I don't think you need to be on the collector side for it to be worth it. And here's why. Because yes, it may be on streaming right now. It may not stay on streaming. Licensing deals and contracts and companies buy other companies, and you cannot guarantee they will keep it streaming. But if you have a DVD of it, you will have access for life. And you won't ever have to worry about whether it's streaming on Netflix or one of the others ever again. Because it doesn't matter. You always have access when you want it because you have the DVD. Netflix in particular changes what's available a lot. I think the others much less so, just because they license less. Like Netflix licenses the bulk of what they have available for streaming, so their contracts and everything are always shifting like regularly. So Netflix in particular has a lot of turnover with what's available, and there have absolutely been times where I'm like, oh, this was on Netflix, and then like a week later it's not anymore, and I'm like, oh man, I missed it. So for that reason, I say yes. I think having a DVD, if it's a movie or TV show that you want to make sure you have access to, that you do really love that much and just want to know you can watch it whenever you want to, then yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it to buy that DVD. And some of the others I've seen go in and out also. Prime, like Amazon Prime, has movies go in and out all the time. Sometimes it'll just subtly shift to where it's still available. Oh, but now it's behind a further paywall. Whereas it was available for free on Prime Video a while back. So stuff like that is always important to think about. If it's something you want to be able to watch anytime you want to, and you want to make sure you can watch it, then yes, it's absolutely worth it. I've had one particular movie called Elsewhere. It's an old movie. I watched it, I believe, on Netflix years ago. It is no longer streaming anywhere. And I can't even like pay to stream it anywhere. I have to look for a used DVD of it. So that goes to show there's going to be some movies you may want to make sure you have a DVD copy of if you don't want to lose the ability to watch it. Of course, if it's a super popular movie, it may always be available for streaming on one of the platforms at any given time. But there's still no guarantee of that. I mean, really anything can happen, right? Like the whole website could go bust. Who knows? But you know, if you have the DVD, doesn't matter. You still have access to that movie. And I think that's why I've always still wanted to. Like, yes, I enjoy finding the really good DVDs, like the really cool collections. I have a really good one for Harry Potter that is just fun. Like, it's just a fun collector's. It's a really nice set, and those are really cool to get. But I also just have a DVD doesn't even have any special features on it maybe, but it's got the movie. And so I know I always have the movie. So, yes, my answer to that question is yes. I think there is valid reason to still get DVDs. Now, the other aspect of this is it may be about to become harder to get physical media. It's a very difficult thing even right now, and I believe it could just continue to get worse as digital becomes so much bigger and easier. But there is so much you lose doing it that way. This is why I've become so passionate about it, because I delve into what's available streaming a lot. I notice when things go in and out, and it's definitely made an impression on me and really helped me remember why I care about that. And I hope there may be a resurgence of it where more effort gets put in when you release a film to releasing a DVD also with some cool behind the scenes, with some really, really amazing special features that gives benefits to buying that DVD copy of it. I think it could have a resurgence if that started happening more. That has slowed down since DVDs have slowed down, though. There's not as much effort put in. Those special features, those behind the scenes, that gets missed too when that's not done. Because those aren't delivered with streaming. You don't get to see a making of special feature. You don't get to see an audio commentary. Not typically. That just isn't a thing that way. So you lose some of those, I believe, really valuable aspects of it too, that just add to the overall experience of the film itself. So those are my thoughts. There's some other topics within that I could go into of like using a server to kind of create your own way to stream your movies you own. That's a little bit longer of a conversation. If you guys want that, let me know. Leave me a comment, send me a message. I'd be happy to talk a little bit more in detail. I hope that helps if you're trying to answer that question. And I hope you enjoyed this topic and this conversation. It was a little bit lighter at the end, a little bit more fun than some of the other happenings we've been talking about with all the Warner Brothers stuff, the loss of Rob Reiner. I hope this was a helpful conversation, and thank you all again for joining me for the studio sessions, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye! The Studio Sessions is a Butterfly Entertainment production. You can keep up with all of our podcasts, YouTube videos, films, and other projects on our Instagram page. We are at Butterfly Entertainment Group. Thanks for listening.